Go ahead.
I have just a couple more questions. Is there a wine cellar at Neverland?
Yes.
And where is the wine cellar?
It's in the rec room, the recreation room.
Alright. Is that sometimes called the arcade?
Yes.
That's the building that's different from the residence?
Yes.
Is there a door that secures the wine cellar?
Yes.
Is that door kept locked, or was it kept locked during the time that you worked there?
It was always locked.
Was it a key that opened that door or a combination lock?
It was a key.
And do you know where the key was kept?
In the maid's room.
And where was the maid's room?
In the main house.
In the main house?
Yes.
Was there more than one key to the door?
I believe there was.
Did you ever have occasion to go down into the wine cellar?
Yes.
For what reason?
To pick it up, clean. Just to make sure everything was cleaned up in there.
And to do that, you have to first go get the key?
Right.
Alright. The room where the key was kept at that time, was that a room that was open to anybody in the public?
Well, it was the maid's room. The maids were usually in there. I mean, somebody could walk in there.
But it wasn't a room that was generally one of the rooms on tour when people took a tour of Neverland?
No.
Was it a room that somebody lived in or simply worked in? You said maid's room. What is the maid's room?
The maid's room is just like where the maids would go to take a break. It had a restroom and...
Do you know if there were any other keys at that time?
I believe so.
And do you know who else had those keys?
I believe security at that time had, in their office, they had a key to that.
You would pick up in the wine cellar on occasion?
Yes.
What would require cleaning in the wine cellar? What do you mean by pick up?
Like, to go in there and to make sure that everything is. Sometimes you would have to brass. There was a lot of brass out there, so we'd have to brass, like, the sinks. So they had, the faucets were of brass.
Alright, cleaning is what you mean?
Just cleaning, yeah.
I'm going to show you two photographs already shown to counsel. These two photographs are number 786 already in evidence, and number 799 for identification, not yet in evidence. Number 786, first of all, take a look at this photograph and tell us what that is.
That's Mr. Jackson's bedroom where the jacuzzi is.
Is that the jacuzzi that you were referring to when you were describing having to clean that jacuzzi?
Yes.
799, tell us what this photograph is.
This is the theater.
Now, can you actually see windows up on that far wall on the theater?
Actually, you have the projection room right here, and there was a window right here, a room, a bedroom. There was two bedrooms. There was one on this side, and there was one I believe on the other side. And there was an area where you go up some stairs on the side and would take you up high where you'd be like in a viewing room. And the viewing room would have. I'm trying to think if that's it up there.
You're pointing right now to what?
I believe that is probably the viewing room up above. It was up above the bedrooms.
You were previously describing testimony of popcorn and Coke being thrown through windows above.
Right.
In the theater.
Right.
Are those windows shown in that particular photograph?
I believe it's up here.
Alright. Now, that photograph that you're looking at, which I believe I said was 799 to 799, is the subject matter of that photograph accurately depicted in the photograph? In other words, does it accurately portray what's inside?
I believe so, yes.
I'd move to introduce 799 into evidence.
No objection.
It's admitted.
If I could publish 799 at this time. If you could, turn around and look at the screen behind you. And tell us, is that the photograph that you just viewed, 799?
Yes, I believe so.
Is that the theater?
Yes.
Alright. Now, on the desk in front of you, there's a laser pen, a laser pointer. If you can do that, that's not it. That's it.
Okay.
Don't.
Okay.
Show us the windows that you were referring to.
The window from up above?
Yes.
It would be up here.
And that's a viewing room?
I believe it was a viewing room, yes.
And the stairway to get up there is where?
I believe it's on. It used to be kind of like on the side as you're coming in the back out here. There was a stairway. It's been so long. I know there was a stairway on the side, and I'm thinking somewhere back here. That would take you up to the top.
Ma'am, you need to talk into that microphone.
I'm sorry.
So you believe the stairway was on the side, is that what you said?
I believe it was on the side.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examine?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Miss McManus.
Good afternoon.
We haven't met. My name is Tom Mesereau and I speak for Michael Jackson.
Okay.
The prosecutor for the government mentioned a case you were involved in where you were sued by Rosalie Hill, correct?
Correct.
You were sued by Rosalie Hill as the guardian ad litem for 2 children, correct?
Correct.
The children were Shane McManus and Megan McManus, correct?
Correct.
And the prosecutor for the government mentioned that you didn't have a lawyer representing you, right?
Correct.
And that case was not tried before a jury, right?
Right.
It was tried before a judge of the Santa Barbara Superior Court, correct?
I believe so.
That was Judge Richard A. St. John, judge of the Santa Barbara Superior Court, true?
I believe so.
And you and your husband testified before Judge St. John, right?
I believe so.
You told them your position under oath, correct?
I believe so.
And after you told Judge St. John your position under oath, he found that you and your husband willfully and maliciously defrauded these children out of the money in the estate, true?
I believe so.
Judge St. John found that that money was to be held in trust for the benefit of those 2 children, right?
Yes.
He found that you and your husband dissipated those funds, right?
I believe so.
He found that you and your husband violated that trust, right?
I believe so.
He entered a judgment against you and your husband for $30,000. Excuse me, $30,584.89, correct?
I believe so, but I believe it was. I thought it was like separate, like. I thought it was maybe 17 for me and 17 for my husband. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's right, what you have there.
Would it refresh your recollection if I just show you Judge St. John's judgment?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that judgment?
Right here? Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about the amount Judge St. John awarded the plaintiffs against you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay. It was $30,584.89, which was principal and interest due, correct?
I believe so.
And after he entered that judgment, Judge St. John also awarded the plaintiff's attorney's fees, right?
I believe so.
He signed a separate judgment awarding the people who sued you and your husband $5,085.27 in attorney's fees and costs, right?
I believe so.
And in that judgment, Judge St. John also found, again, that you and your husband had willfully and maliciously stolen the money from those children, right?
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
All right. Now, that lawsuit was before you sued Michael Jackson, correct?
I believe so.
And who did you join with in your suit against Michael Jackson?
Qasim Abdul. Do you want the names?
Yes, please.
Qasim Abdul, Ralph Chacon, Melanie Bagnall and Sandy Doms.
And in that case you had a lawyer, right?
Yes.
In fact, you had a number of lawyers, right?
Correct.
And you've already identified the lawyers that represented you and the other people that sued Michael Jackson with you, correct?
Correct.
Now, that case went to a jury, right?
Yes.
That was a jury in this courthouse in Santa Maria, right?
Yes.
In that particular case, a Santa Maria jury held that you had stolen from Michael Jackson, right?
I believe so.
And they awarded Mr. Jackson $35,000 for what you personally had stolen from him, right?
The sketch that I found in the trash, yes.
That was a sketch he had done of Elvis Presley, right?
Well, I thought it looked like Elvis Presley, but I don't really know for.
But you tried to sell it to a tabloid, correct?
Yes.
You did sell it to a tabloid, correct?
Well, I gave it to Gary Morgan.
You sold it to a tabloid, right?
I believe he did.
You don't know for sure?
I don't know who he actually really sold it to, but.
You certainly inquired at some point, correct?
I think I saw somewhere later that it was printed, but I don't remember like what, but it was printed.
But when you sold it, you believed it was a sketch by Michael Jackson of Elvis Presley, right?
I thought so.
And a Santa Maria jury held that you had stolen that from Michael Jackson, right?
That's what they thought, yeah.
And that was their verdict, true?
I believe so.
Okay. There was a finding that you had acted with fraud and malice against Michael Jackson in that case, correct?
I believe. You know, it's been so long, I don't remember, but probably.
You actually stipulated that you had engaged in fraud, oppression, and malicious conduct against Mr. Jackson, true?
You know what, I don't remember everything. It's been a while, but.
Would it, excuse me, would it refresh your recollection if I show you that judgment?
Sure, that's fine.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
May I see, counsel? Off-the-record discussion held at counsel table.
Let me withdraw the question and ask it again. The jury found you had acted with fraud, oppression and malice against Mr. Jackson, true?
You know what? Honestly, I don't really recall. I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection if you see the judgment?
Well, sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to read that judgment?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about the jury in Santa Maria finding that you had acted with fraud, oppression, and malice against Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
That's what they held, right?
That's what they, yeah.
All right. Now, the total amount. Excuse me, let me start again. The suit began when you and the others sued Mr. Jackson, right?
Correct.
And after you and Ralph Chacon and Mr. Abdul and Ms. Bagnall sued Mr. Jackson, he responded with a countersuit, correct?
Correct.
And the countersuit was an allegation that you had stolen property from him, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Mr. Jackson's suit was a response to your suit, right?
Correct.
Everything began when you and Mr. Chacon and Mr. Abdul filed the action, right?
Correct.
And that's the action where you were represented by Mr. Ring, correct?
Correct.
Okay. At the end of the case, there was a judgment signed by Judge Zell Cantor of the Superior Court of Santa Barbara in Santa Maria against you and Mr. Chacon and Mr. Abdul and Melanie Bagnall and Sandy Doms for $1,473,117.61, right?
I believe it was more. I thought it was 1.6 million each person.
Would it refresh your recollection if I just show you?
Sure.
This? May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Uh-huh.
Have you had a chance to look at that judgment?
Yes.
And does it refresh your recollection about the amount?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you recall that Mr. Jackson was entitled to have a hearing on what are called punitive damages after he won the jury verdict, right?
I believe so.
And Mr. Jackson agreed to waive that portion of the trial, correct?
I believe so.
He did it in return for $1, right?
Correct.
Now, the prosecutor asked you some questions about a deposition that you appeared at in the Jordy Chandler lawsuit, right?
Correct.
And I believe you told the jury that you had lied under oath in that lawsuit, correct?
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yes, sure. I believe you told the jury that you lied under oath in that lawsuit, correct?
What jury? During our trial?
No. Let me start the question again. If you don't understand anything I ask you, don't answer, just ask me. I'll try and rephrase.
Okay.
In response to the prosecutor's questions, you told the jury that you had appeared at a sworn deposition in the Jordy Chandler lawsuit, right?
Correct.
That was a lawsuit that you knew Mr. Chandler's parents had filed against Mr. Jackson, right?
Correct.
And you appeared and testified under oath in a deposition, right?
Correct.
And you were asked questions by a number of lawyers, including Larry Feldman, right?
Correct.
That deposition took place on December 7, 1993, right?
Yes. Correct.
When have you last reviewed that deposition?
Actually, I never really went through it to really review it.
I'm sorry?
I never really went through it to review it.
Okay. Before I ask you some questions about that deposition, when did you last talk to any prosecutor about your testimony in this trial?
Last night.
And who did you talk to about your testimony in this trial from the prosecution side?
Ron Zonen.
That's Prosecutor Zonen, who just asked you some questions.
Yes.
Okay. Did he talk to you about what you were going to be asked today?
No.
Was it a phone call or a meeting?
A meeting.
Where did the meeting take place with Prosecutor Zonen?
In Santa Maria.
And how long did the meeting last?
A little over 3 hours.
Did Prosecutor Zonen give you anything to review before you testified today?
No.
Did you review any documents to prepare for your testimony today?
Well, I have my deposition from when I sued Mr. Jackson, and I did go over that.
Now, that's the deposition from your suit against Mr. Jackson, right?
Right.
That's not the deposition that you gave in the Chandler lawsuit, right?
Correct.
Now, did you review the deposition you gave in your suit against Mr. Jackson to prepare for your testimony today?
Yes.
But you didn't review your deposition in the Chandler case to prepare for your testimony today?
Correct.
Did Prosecutor Zonen ask you to review that deposition in your suit against Mr. Jackson to prepare for your testimony today?
No.
Did he ask you to review any documents before you testified?
No.
You spent 3 hours with him last night?
Yes.
Did that take place at the district attorney's office here?
No.
Where did it take place?
Somewhere in Santa Maria, a home.
Okay. Was Prosecutor Zonen the only one present, besides yourself?
No.
Who else was there?
During that meeting?
Yes, please.
Russ Burchim.
That's a Russ Burchim, a Santa Barbara sheriff?
I believe so.
Was anyone else present?
Just them in the room.
Okay. And during those 3 hours, they went over what you were going to be asked today, right?
Well, they went over my depot, Ron went over my deposition.
Did he point to specific pages in your deposition?
No.
Well, your deposition is volume after volume after volume, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many volumes was your deposition in your suit against Mr. Jackson?
You know what? I'm thinking I was deposed for 8 days. That's what I think.
Did Prosecutor Zonen bring a copy of that deposition with him to your meeting?
I think he had one.
Okay. Did he appear to have all of the volumes to the deposition with him?
I really don't know.
Okay. But he had specific parts he wanted to talk to you about, right?
Not really specific parts. Just kind of going through it, you know.
Did you go through all those 8 days of deposition with Prosecutor Zonen in 3 hours?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Who chose what portions of the deposition you were going to look at during the 3-hour meeting, if you know?
I have no idea.
Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Prosecutor Zonen had portions of those deposition volumes he wanted to talk to you about, correct?
Objection as to what he wanted to talk about. Vague and speculative.
Sustained.
Did Prosecutor Zonen point out certain portions of those volumes that he appeared to want to discuss with you?
Objection as to asked and answered and speculative as to what he appeared to want to ask.
I think you need to cut that question in half.
Okay. All right.
I'll sustain the objection.
During your 3-hour meeting last night with Prosecutor Zonen, you looked at 7 or 8 volumes of your deposition, right?
Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence that she looked at 7 or 8 volumes of anything.
Overruled. You may answer.
I'm sorry, you lost me. Can you repeat it?
Yes, sure. During your 3-hour meeting last night with Prosecutor Zonen, you went through volumes of the deposition you gave in your suit against Michael Jackson, correct?
I don't know if it was volumes. It was just whatever page had opened, you know.
Who opened the pages?
It wasn't me.
It was Prosecutor Zonen, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he seemed to have certain pages he wanted to talk to you about, correct?
Objection as to what he wanted to talk about. Speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
I have no idea. I just was. He was just going through it, period. I don't.
And was he asking you questions about what you said in that deposition?
No, he was just reading it.
Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions about the deposition you gave in the Chandler suit.
Uh-huh.
On December 7, 1993, okay?
Sure.
Do you remember you said under oath that you trust Mr. Jackson and you would leave your son alone with him?
I don't recall any of that. I don't recall. I don't know what I said, because I have not looked at that.
Might it refresh your recollection if I just show you that page?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance, excuse me, have you had a chance to look at those pages of your deposition?
No. Oh, right now? Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said in that deposition?
Yes.
You said words to the effect, I trust Mr. Jackson, and you would leave your son alone with him, right?
I believe so.
Okay. You were asked if you ever saw Geordie Chandler in Michael Jackson's bedroom and you said, no, right?
Correct, I believe.
You said you had never seen Brett Barnes sleep in Michael Jackson's room, right?
Probably. I can't recall everything in that.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you?
I hate to have you keep coming back, but that's fine.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said under oath in that deposition?
Yes.
You said you had never seen Brett Barnes sleep in Michael Jackson's room, right?
Correct.
You didn't recall when you had met Wade Robson for the first time, right?
Objection. Hearsay.
I'll rephrase it. I'll withdraw it. Do you remember testifying under oath that you didn't recall when you met Wade Robson for the first time?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
Actually, I don't recall. I didn't go over that, so I don't.
Would it refresh your recollection if you look at that page?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page of your deposition?
Yeah.
Does it refresh your recollection about your saying you don't know when you first met Wade Robson?
Yes.
Do you remember testifying you didn't know how many times Brett Barnes had been to the ranch?
Probably.
Do you know if that's what you said?
I believe. I don't know.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the page?
Sure.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
And you testified under oath you didn't know how many times Brett Barnes had been to the ranch, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Do you remember testifying under oath that you didn't know where Brett Barnes slept?
I probably did. I don't remember.
Might it refresh your recollection if I show you the page?
Nods head up and down.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said under oath about whether you knew where Mr. Barnes slept?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
I believe I said, I don't know.
Okay. Now, you knew you were under oath in this deposition, right?
Yes.
Did Prosecutor Zonen discuss with you last night what you were going to say if confronted with this sworn deposition in trial?
No.
Did the issue of what you had said under oath in the Chandler deposition ever come up during the 3 hours you spent last night with Government Prosecutor Zonen?
No.
Okay. Do you remember being asked under oath in that deposition if you ever saw Geordie Chandler's clothes at the ranch?
I believe that I do recall that.
Do you remember saying that you saw his mother bring them into Mr. Jackson's room in a suitcase?
Yes.
Do you remember being asked questions by Mr. Feldman about the alarm system in Mr. Jackson's room?
I don't recall that.
Remember telling him, people like to kill celebrities, so you have to be careful with your life.
I don't recall that.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if I show you that portion of your deposition?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Have you had a chance to review that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said under oath to Mr. Feldman on that subject?
Yes.
You did say, when you're a celebrity, you live a different life than regular people. I mean, people like to kill celebrities, so, he has to be careful, with his life. And then.
I'm going to object as to hearsay, reading from a deposition that's not inconsistent with current testimony.
Sustained.
Now, are you telling the jury that throughout this deposition you committed perjury?
Objection. Calls for a legal conclusion.
I believe it was raised on direction examination by the prosecutor, Your Honor.
Not issues of perjury.
All sustain the objection to the question as phrased.
Okay. You told Prosecutor Zonen that you repeatedly lied under oath in that deposition, correct?
What are you talking about?
When Prosecutor Zonen asked you some questions today in court, remember that?
Okay, yes.
He asked you if you had lied under oath in the Chandler deposition, right?
Right.
You said you did, right?
Right.
Do you know how many times you lied under oath in the Chandler deposition?
I believe the whole time I did not tell the truth on that.
Did you believe you were committing a crime when you did that?
I really didn't. I really didn't think of it that way.
Well, let me ask you this. So far, you've admitted you lied under oath in the Chandler deposition for what, a day?
Well, throughout that deposition, yes.
And Judge St. John found that you lied in that trial, right?
Objection. Asked and answered. Argumentative.
The objection is sustained.
And the jury found you didn't tell the truth in your suit against Mr. Jackson, right?
Objection. Asked and answered, and argumentative.
Sustained. Mr. Mesereau, a few questions back, after you refreshed her recollection with the transcript about, you're a celebrity, I sustained an objection, and I was incorrect.
Okay.
Do you want to re-ask that question? I'll reverse my ruling on that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So what had happened is she'd refreshed her recollection, and then you wanted to.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do you remember I showed you the page of the deposition about what you said about, people try to kill celebrities?
Yes.
And did that refresh your recollection about what you said on that issue under oath?
I believe so.
Okay. And as you recall, what did you say under oath on that issue?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
I forgot.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show it to you again?
Yes.
What I'm going to do is let you read it to her. That's what I stopped you from doing. And I'll allow you to do it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And he's going to ask you if this is. You ask her. Laughter.
Okay, all right. Ms. McManus, this is what you said under oath. But you have to understand now, when you're a celebrity, you live a different life than regular people. I mean, people like to kill celebrities, so, he has to be careful, with his life, and that little censor benefits him for his life. Remember saying that?
I believe so.
Okay, now, you weren't lying when you said that, were you?
No.
In fact, you knew that Mr. Jackson is very nervous about his personal security, isn't he?
Objection. Speculative as to what he is nervous about. Lack of foundation.
Overruled. You may answer.
Repeat it, please.
You knew when you worked at Neverland that Mr. Jackson is extremely nervous about his security, isn't he?
I really don't know.
Well, when you saw his bodyguards, right?
Are you talking?
Huh?
Are you talking us or just security from the house?
Let me rephrase it. I think I was too vague on that one.
Okay.
During the time you worked at Neverland.
Uh-huh.
Was it your understanding that Mr. Jackson is someone who's very concerned about his personal security?
I really don't know. I mean, I don't know.
You knew he had personal bodyguards to protect him, right?
Yeah.
You knew they traveled with him when he went on tours around the world, right?
Yeah.
You knew they were often armed, right?
Yes.
And you knew that he was always concerned about threats to his personal welfare, right?
I don't know about that. But, I mean, I don't want to answer that, because I don't know.
Did it ever occur to you that he might be concerned about his personal welfare?
I don't know.
Okay. You testified under oath that twice you saw June Chandler bring her son Jordy's clothes in a suitcase into Mr. Jackson's room?
I don't know if it was twice. I know at least once. I don't remember what I said on that.
Would it refresh your recollection if I just show you that page?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page of your sworn deposition?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said on that subject?
Yes.
What did you say?
Twice.
Okay. You testified that you saw Mrs. Chandler open the suitcase and take clothes out, right?
You know what? I don't recall.
Do you remember saying that she would sit down on the floor, take clothes out of the suitcase, fold them? Do you remember that?
Honestly, no, I don't remember.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you that page?
Yeah, sorry.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page of your sworn deposition?
Yeah.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said on that subject?
Yes.
What did you say?
That she would fold the clothes.
That she would bring the suitcase and get on the floor
And fold the clothes, yes.
Remember testifying under oath that you were never there at night when Jordy Chandler was in the room?
You know what? I don't recall.
Remember testifying you said you were never at Neverland at night when Jordy was there?
I don't recall that either.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you that page?
Sure. Probably, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page of your sworn deposition?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said about that subject?
Yes.
What did you say?
That I wasn't there at night with Jordy.
Now, there were many occasions where Jordy Chandler, his mother and sister would come to the ranch and stay, right?
I believe so.
Do you remember what his sister's name was?
Lily.
Did you ever talk to Lily?
I don't believe so.
Do you know what his mother's name was?
June Chandler.
Did you ever talk to June Chandler?
Yes.
What were your typical hours working at Neverland?
They varied, actually.
Was there a particular time you normally punched in?
Sometimes 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock in the morning.
Do you remember testifying that you have never seen Mr. Jackson in bed?
I don't recall.
Might it refresh your recollection if I show you your deposition?
Sure.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said?
Yes.
On that occasion?
Yes.
What did you say?
That I didn't see him in his bed.
You'd never seen Mr. Jackson in bed, right?
Right.
What was your understanding about when you were supposed to be at Neverland to do your work?
Well, there was a schedule, and we kind of just followed the schedule. But then there were times that you didn't know when you were going to go home because of the guests being there late. So you come in at a certain time, but that didn't mean that you were going to leave at the time that you were scheduled.
So how would you learn what time you had to be there?
I believe there was a schedule that was made. You know, like supervisor would make it. And you'd be on the schedule at maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Sometimes maybe till 5:30 or 6 o'clock. But then, like I said, if there were guests, you didn't know what time you were going to go home.
Do you remember testifying you couldn't tell if Mr. Geordie Chandler ever took a shower with Mr. Jackson, right?
A shower with Jackson?
Yes.
Perhaps.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you that page?
Yeah.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you taken a look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said I didn't, I don't know, I just forgot. Sorry.
You said you couldn't tell if Mr. Jackson ever took a shower with Mr. Jackson, right?
I couldn't tell. Right.
You said you'd never seen Mr. Jackson in a jacuzzi, right?
In a jacuzzi, like taking a bath in a jacuzzi, is that what you're talking about?
You said you had never seen Mr. Jackson in his jacuzzi?
I'll object as hearsay if it's not inconsistent with current testimony, also vague.
Sustained.
You testified under oath that you'd never seen Geordie Chandler get ready to go to bed, right?
Perhaps. Like I said, I haven't gone over that, and I'm sorry.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you that page?
Yeah.
May I approach?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said?
Yes.
And what did you say about Mr. Chandler on that issue?
That I didn't see him ready to go to bed.
And you also said you'd never seen him get up in the morning, right?
Correct.
The prosecutor asked you a couple of questions about whether Mr. Jackson ever played with a pet monkey in his bedroom, right?
Yes.
And I believe you said he had. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was that chimpanzee's name Max?
I believe so.
When you had your deposition taken in the Chandler case, you said you'd never seen a chimpanzee in his bedroom, right?
Perhaps.
Would it refresh your recollection if I show you the deposition?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you had a chance to look at that page?
Yes.
Does it refresh your recollection about what you said under oath at that deposition?
Yes.
And what did you say?
I said, no.
You said everybody plays with the chimpanzee, but you've never seen it in Mr. Jackson's room, right?
I believe so.
Okay. Did you work at Neverland when Blanca Francia was working there?
Yes, I did.
And how long did you work at Neverland when Blanca Francia was also working there?
I would think maybe 9 months.
Did you share similar responsibilities with Blanca Francia?
Are you talking about Mr. Jackson's room, or just as a maid, as an aide?
Let me rephrase it. When you worked at Neverland, what did you understand Blanca Francia's responsibilities to be?
Blanca had Mr. Jackson's room. She was his personal maid. Although Blanca did help out with the other things in the house or the guest units. She kind of did a lot of everything.
And when you worked at Neverland, what did you understand your responsibilities to be?
Are you talking about the beginning or?
Let's start at the beginning. Sure.
Okay, when I started, I was just a regular maid, like everybody else. I was in the kitchen helping wash dishes. Set tables. I mean, actually a lot of different stuff. You know, cleaning the guest quarters, the theater, everything, except Mr. Jackson's room.
When did you begin to clean Mr. Jackson's room?
Actually, about 9 months after my employment, which was when Blanca quit.
During the first 9 months of your employment when Blanca was working there, did you ever go into Mr. Jackson's room?
I can't recall.
Do you recall ever having similar responsibilities in Mr. Jackson's house to Blanca Francia?
At times, yeah, maybe.
Were there times when she would clean Mr. Jackson's room on a given day, and on another day you would clean Mr. Jackson's room?
No.
Okay, so you didn't go near his room for the first 9 months you worked there, right?
Correct.
During those 9 months, did you and Blanca Francia speak to each other?
Yes.
Did you speak to each other often during those first 9 months?
Yes.
Did you ever learn that Blanca Francia had sold a story to a television show?
I heard she did.
Did you hear she had sold a story for money to hard copy?
I heard she did.
Okay. Did you and Blanca ever discuss that subject?
No.
How many? Let me rephrase that. You sold the sketch to a tabloid, right?
Me personally?
Yes.
Not me personally. Somebody else did.
Well, they did it on your behalf, right?
Well, I would probably think so. I don't, yeah.
Well, how did that person get the sketch?
Gary Morgan had gone to our attorney's office, Mr. Ring, Michael Ring, and that's where he got it. From there, at the attorney's office.
Did you bring the sketch to Mr. Ring's law office?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell Mr. Ring, I took this from Neverland Ranch?
No, I don't even think Michael Ring. I don't even think he saw it. I don't know if he saw it. I told Gary Morgan that I got it out of the trash. And I told him he could have it. So that's kind of where that went. And I don't know what Gary.
Well, you didn't really say he could have it. You sold it?
Actually, I told him he could have it. And he went and, I guess, sold it. And then I think he said something in the tabloid. I don't even know which one it was. Something that I had told him that I got it out of Mr. Jackson's bedroom in the trash or something to that. Which was not correct.
You're telling the jury that Michael Jackson did a sketch of Elvis Presley and you picked it out of the trash?
I found it outside by the rec room in the trash. And when I found it there, I thought, well, it was neat, so I took it. It was in the trash.
Is that one of the items the Santa Maria jury found you had stolen?
Well, that's what they.
Objection. Asked and answered.
Sustained.
When you went to Mr. Ring, did you tell this attorney where you got the sketch?
I don't even recall if he probably heard during the deposition that, because I think I was questioned about that during the deposition, and I did say that I found it in the trash. But I don't remember telling him about that myself. It must have been, at the deposition where I said I found it in the trash.
Did you sell that sketch before you went to trial in your lawsuit against Michael Jackson?
Before I went to trial?
Yes.
You know what? I don't even know. I really don't know when the timing. I don't know if it was during the trial, maybe later during the trial.
Let me ask you this. You've told the jury the money that came. Excuse me. Let me rephrase it. You've told the jury the money that was obtained in return for that sketch helped fund your lawsuit against Mr. Jackson, right?
Correct.
Did you know when you did that Mr. Jackson was alleging that you had stolen that sketch?
Not that I know of.
Let me ask you if this statement is accurate. You took what you were accused of stealing and sold it for money to fund your lawsuit against Mr. Jackson, right?
I took what I found in the trash and gave it to Gary Morgan and he sold it.
And at some point you knew you were accused of stealing that sketch of Elvis Presley, right?
I got accused of that, yes.
All right, let's end for today.